doing everything. Alright, we're counting down from 47 minutes. Hey guys, welcome to the Pretend Podcast, the magical podcast that is yet to exist until now. I'm Gavin, and I am joined by
Craig.
And special guest again, guest number 2.
Ryan.
Hey Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing tonight?
I'm not sure yet, but I'm glad. It feels fun. It feels fun.
We're under the thumb of the mighty technology beast again. I know we say this at the end of, or beginning of every episode, it seems, where we don't really know what's happening. We got some digital blips and countdowns going, but
oh, you got a circle instead of a square now.
Yeah, it changes every time. This device I'm
it's
using,
got to be a good
it's a
sign.
circle.
At least you guys are troubleshooting based on shapes. That makes me feel like I'm in good hands.
Yeah, we got this, man.
Clearly know what we're doing. We've done upwards of 9 of these.
Yeah, right around here somewhere. So that's the magic of the Pretend Podcast, is that none of this is really happening. So sit back, relax, enjoy the crazy dream of comedy night. This is a comedy theme. That's what we're doing tonight. So if you aren't laughing yet, you're gonna be.
Yes, you are.
But actually,
it's about to be funny.
It's gonna be so fun. But,
no pressure.
And we hate to burst your bubble, listener, but we're actually just talking about comedy. We're not actually being funny. This is going to be
terrible at remembering.
Dissecting humor.
Yeah, we're going to mathematically lay it out. We're going to come to the final conclusion of what makes something funny, like Gargamel. We're going to find the recipe, and booze. I think is probably a very crucial element of comedy. Ryan is dabbling in some comedy, so we have like a first hand, somebody that can like testify to this stuff. Ryan's a very established musician and now very established comic in town here in Nashville, I'd say. You think?
I would never ever say that about myself.
Yes, I am an established comic, but you've been doing some comedy, so that's a pretty awesome thing.
My agent said you guys have a lot of listeners.
Yeah.
And this would be good for
my analytics are
career. So, I'm an established comic, and I'm basically here based on the numbers.
Okay, Well, we're gonna boost your stats even further.
Yes, we are.
Everyone's stats. So many likes after tonight. You're gonna be amazed. But we figured we'd follow the format of the show though, and what we do around these parts is we pick things that we assign to each other as if it was a school day, and we watch it, we listen to it, we read it, we think about it, and then we get back to each other on it, you know? We're guys that might have missed some stuff over the years, and I definitely can say I had not watched the comedy specials that we assigned each other tonight for the theme of this.
They were new to me as well.
Yeah.
My own.
And me.
Yeah.
Even as established as
a creditable comic, renowned humorist Ryan Cox here. But so what we did, just to throw out the table of contents tonight, and we'll kind of just dive into what we did is signed each other's stand-up shows, like not even just things that make us laugh, but we went full-on stand-up comedy, and there's a lot of specials, and especially now, it seems like they're more than ever, like blowing up all over the place with Netflix and such. And we kind of just assigned ones that, for whatever reason, appealed to us and for the others to listen to, and we can see what happens. Because hanging out with you guys over the years, I know these dudes, and we've all had like so many laughs together. But to be honest, I don't know if all our like comedy perspectives line up, so it'll be interesting to see what the hell somebody in this circle makes.
That's the weird thing about comedy, is very individual.
Yeah,
right. And I'll even watch something I thought was funny like when I was younger.
Yeah,
there's nothing funny about that
at
all.
And just like comedy's so dangerous that way, where it's like. It's not like like an album or a movie where you can be like dive in years and multiple views, and I feel like it is more like, I don't want to say disposable, but it is weird because like a joke will wear off after time, like even if it is like something that cracked you up like as a kid or just any point in your life, but then like years later, like showing it or watching it again, you're like, haha, yeah, that is funny, but like you can never get back that initial laugh, you know, like that initial first time you hear something, and it's like
the surprise of it.
Yeah,
that's what makes you laugh. The surprise.
Yeah,
and then once you've heard it, you're like, I like that joke, but the second time,
it just kind of wears off, and maybe just a quick round before we do the table of contents of what we're digging into. Like, what kind of stuff did you guys find as a kid? Like, I always want to find the roots of things. Like, what did you find humorous, or like what were like the big crack ups when you're growing up as like a teenage kid or something? What was like the thing that was like you just always went back to? It's like, the shit's so funny. Did you have any like touchstone things that way?
I mean, not as far as stand-up comics and stuff go.
Yeah, or even just like movies or like, sketch comedy or anything.
I've always enjoyed gross humor. So like sort of scatological, humor and puns and stuff like that, and I still do. So, I just love it.
So it was all garbage filled kids.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Not really like a certain comedy or anything, anything like that. But
was it like Cracked Magazine? Did you ever get into that?
A little bit, but
Mad was out there.
Yeah, I really love Garbage Pail Kids. They're great.
Nice.
Garbage Pail Kids was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, those few years are burned on my soul. It was like elementary school. It must have been like late 80s. Just like that came out into the suburbs, just like.
I saw some companies reissuing skate decks with the graphics on them.
Yeah.
Like the Garbage Pail Kids logos, which is like awesome, but then at the same time it's like, is it really that funny? What, like, whatever. What's a good example? Do you remember any of those?
Robot Roy. Like meat grinder or Pete grinder or something. It's like babies grinding himself up.
Yeah. Along those lines.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you have any like shows or anything that you found as like a touchstone, Ryan?
Oh man, like the movie Clue. I liked that a lot growing up, and that was just it wasn't like a comedy to me. It was like creepy, but just the whole like when Tim Curry like acts out the whole movie and he like slaps the lady. Like I had to stop her from screaming. that made me laugh and still does. I guess for a stand-up goes, I didn't grow up with stand-up. Like Seinfeld even, and like that was more like middle school and high school.
The first memories of like laughing at like a show though be Seinfeld, do you think?
Like that, like stand up because they cut in the clips of him doing the stand up. So that was like the first time I was really like, I didn't grow up with like you find it's like people who grew up with the Beatles. I didn't grow up with the Beatles. I found it later. Same thing with like Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy and stuff. I wish my parents had put that like Richard Pryor records on. But
we always had them around, but it was always. Like my older brother and my mom and stuff had the records, but we never really listened to them, so it was always like the later we just catch the movies, those are like big ones for us. We're like watching The Jerk at a young age and stuff, and like just knowing who they were. Like a lot of it was SNL based and stuff like that, but like just like more movies and stuff. But no stand up so much. I guess you would see like the clips and the specials here and there, but and then like Kids in the Hall and stuff as far as sketch comedy. I remember that being like the first like what the fuck. I would guess aside from like Monty Python too, but like that. But
the sketch stuff like the State, that was like the thing that just still did. I went back. They put it out a few years ago. I guess a few years like 10 years ago. But watching that like the taco mailman and stuff, I was like, this is hilarious. Like, just random Kids in the Hall inspired. Humor.
And all of them just kind of feed off each other too, which is great because like Python stuff, or like because I always loved the movies more than Monty Python. Yeah, like watching the shows, there's always like funny parts, like most sketch stuff where it's like
there was a show.
Yeah.
Did you live in England?
No, they're out there. Whoa. Someone just drove by on a Harley. That's funny, right? It was Miss Piggy. It was Miss Piggy on a motorcycle. That was my big humor. Muppets, maybe. I don't know, but
there's sophisticated humor. Into those, like
lots of puns in the Muppet movies. But a lot of my early humor was on the Muppet level for sure. But
the first stand-up thing I ever actually saw or consciously remember seeing. Was Bill Cosby himself. I think it was just on like heavy rotation, but he's a pedophile or a rapist or whatever else. I feel bad bringing up. And then there was a guy named Steve Banks, and he did his whole set in sort of like a on a stage with like maybe his childhood bedroom reproduced on it.
Oh wow!
And he was a funny
I'm
guy.
a baby boy.
Yeah, like he didn't do a lot of accent. No, but he played guitar and he played songs that he had written into his comedy routine. And I remember that was also kind of like heavy rotation on HBO for a while.
I'm so glad you mentioned Cosby early on, because like Cosby himself, like that, I had that on like shuffle from an old computer, and it came on 10 years ago recently, and there was like 10 seconds where it came on where I forgot that, like, I just heard his voice and I started laughing. I just loved it. And I forgot I just like have to hate him now. I was like, this is good shit. Like Cosby is like, that is like so good. It's like there's a song, like the Lemonheads covered the song called "Your Home Is Where You're Happy." Mm-hmm. It's the most beautiful song. I learned it on the acoustic guitar. Your home is where you're not happy. It's not where you're not. It's so beautiful, and I played it for years. And it was written by Charles Manson. I found out later, but so like. That's fucked up. He's a horrible person. Yeah. But just because he's a terrible person doesn't mean he can't write a beautiful song. Like Bill Cosby, we know is like the worst person ever. But it doesn't mean like you're gonna take it away from him that he was really good at this one thing.
And I do remember thinking it was hilarious, which is rare for me. Like we can get into it as we go, but
it's for sure. I mean, it's Michael Jackson syndrome to a certain degree too. It's just like
himself is like
Thriller's awesome, but
himself is
that
like,
was all that Macaulay Culkin shit. Really. Come on, let's be honest.
It's fucked up being a celebrity. It's hard.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, the Cosby was
sometimes you got some quaaludes. But
snip this part, put it at the end. Everybody's like, oh god, defending Cosby.
I think everybody's on the same tour.
But himself is like, I think that's like the moment where it became modern comedy, because it wasn't just set up punch. He's like, he just told stories from his childhood, and it's just so good. Like, I still love it, but I feel guilty. I'm glad you said that you love Cosby. I'm like, that is so good.
Eddie Murphy Raw, that's another one that's
actually
in the
all
hopper
is,
really early on.
And we were joking about that.
All two of them, he just knocked it out.
Well, even the early Eddie Murphy stuff of how, like, I mean, those are like hilarious and great, but there's like just time tested kind of weird, like really like weird gay, anti-gay jokes and shit in there, or it gets like really awkward when you listen to it now. You're just like, oh Jesus, it's like calm down, Eddie, man. It's like what the hell? And like, and even one of my, because we always kind of kick off these episodes with talking about things we didn't choose, which is kind of cool, like the runners up. And one of mine actually was, because I always kind of go for the sentimental one. And one I watched at a really young age too was, strangely enough, a fucking Paula Poundstone special. And she's ridiculous.
She's dressed like the Joker.
Yeah, I don't really know what her whole deal was, and there was like some weird legal issues that came up that I think got all like ironed out and weren't that bad in the end.
Love Paula Poundstone.
Yeah, I don't know what's up, but I think she's straight because she's still working, so I think it all got worked out.
Remember, she had
wasn't a
high-waisted, like a high-waisted pleated pant.
Yeah,
like
just
like shoulder pads and like
but I mean, it was like late 80s,
She's
so everybody
funny.
had. Yeah, there was this one fucking special. I think it was like an early HBO one, and like I just like watched it constantly. It was so funny. She was like kind of had like a weird lyrish thing going, and like I couldn't tell if she was just like hammered or what the fuck her deal was. But like there was so many funny ones, like where she's talking about eating the Pop-Tarts, and she eats the whole box, and she eats the first two, but then she just eats the last two to tidy up, and I thought that was like hilarious as a kid. It's like, I just didn't want to leave one Pop-Tart hanging out in the box. That's stupid shit, but like for some reason as a kid it always stuck with me. I was like, man, that shit was funny. I really want to watch that again.
Well, you talking about that just made me flash back to my first awareness of sort of stand-up comedy as a thing was Different Strokes? No. The Facts of Life.
Yeah.
The Facts of Life with Blair and Joe and Tootie and young Molly Ringwald and Mrs. Garrett.
Joe.
And and Blair, popular blonde Blair.
Beautiful.
Who I later met in real life. And
really?
She's a nice lady. She looks exactly the same. It was weird.
She delivers my mail now.
She delivers my mail now. And she is a mail now. Anyway, in the series, she had a cousin. Like the first time you meet the cousin, Blair's super embarrassed because the cousin is uncouth. Not because they're from the country or anything, but because the cousin has Down syndrome or something like that.
Wow.
Or I don't know. It's something going on. Something going on. There's an extra chromosome in there or something. And so Blair has to learn to love, cousin whatever. But then in subsequent episodes, that cousin comes back for guest appearances, and she's become a stand-up comic, and she actually does stand up on the show a little bit, and it kind of freaked me out. This might be the root of why I feel the way I do about it.
Man, that's weird, because I just had I never thought of this till now, but there's that show Silver Spoons with Ricky Schroeder,
and there was a young Jason Bateman.
There's some episode where they kind of had he was I'm trying to stand up, and he got heckled, and then there's that's basically all I remember about it.
The kid was trying to stand up?
Yeah, and it's the first time he was yeah, I'm pretty funny, but then he got tackled, and it was bad. But it was also
Rich boy has to learn.
It was probably the first time I was yeah, he's got to learn.
Put this rich boy in his place.
So it's just the whole idea there was a thing. I wish that I want to for my kids. I want to play this is the person on stage with just a microphone, and sound effects or whatever they can do with body language. But they're just trying to make people laugh with just that. It's really distilled coming from music, where it's you got this whole band and stuff. It's a person and their body and voice,
so
and you're trying to, and it's it's so bad, but it's bad. It's just a bad band. It's got nothing on a bad. It should come to the open mics when it's bad.
Yeah,
it's just it's beautifully bad. You're I can feel. I feel bad about me.
That is it. That's it.
And that's like you had said, you have some anxiety about it, right?
Yeah,
Craig?
I actually really I will actively avoid stand up for Shan, my wife. Sometimes go, Netflix got a bunch of good. It's supposed to be a lot of good stand up on there. I'm like, oh no.
That's interesting.
And it freaks me.
Even
I feel that way.
If they filmed it, obviously it went well.
I start getting
they released it
a twinge. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I start getting this twinge of I feel bad for being part of the human race as well, because I'm afraid they're gonna bomb. Going to see you do stand up freaks me out, because
I would deliberately bomb just to.
I am so
worried. I'm gonna make this so bad.
I'm so worried it's going to be horrible somehow. What is the worst that could happen?
Factor.
You should sign up to do it, and then come and see it and do it, and then you'll experience the shame for yourself and for others.
I would melt into a puddle.
I've heard the exact same. KC, my wife.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. She's the only other person I've ever heard say that. She's
I want a person that's going to bomb, and it freaks me out. Yeah, and
I get it too. I feel it too.
If I have a rapport, what I end up assigning is somebody who I kind of had a rapport with through a television because they had a show, and so I'm better with that because I already know that I think that person is funny. And which makes no sense because, like you say, they filmed it, they released it. Apparently someone thought. But then again,
he's not going to throw up on the stage.
Sam Kinison did many comedy specials, and that was one unfunny motherfucker.
Yeah.
God damn, it just makes my head explode.
He just yells.
Screaming.
He just yells. It's
that was going to be one of my later questions.
Something's happening, but
so would he be your number one? It was something that so many people find funny that you don't think is funny.
Right.
You're Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I read that question, he was he popped into my head first or second. Sam Kinison. But there's people that actually like what he says. There's a lot of people where I like him. Mark Maron's like that for me.
Yeah.
Where I like him and I'm compelled, but I don't laugh. I'm just he's not funny. He's just an angry. Sam Kinnison's just he's an angry metal dude.
Yeah, and that's what's great when they find their niche.
Makes me crazy.
Yeah. There's so many factors like that, where it's just what's your stick and what you're wearing. And it's just like so many things that
I
we
just
noticed even from music, but like when it's stripped down to just you on a stage, I'm sure it's like magnified.
I just can't get past sort of
the
the packaging of like the screaming and the stupid hat and the bad haircut and like the long too much fabric jacket hanging on his like Louis Anderson frame. And like and like I don't even know
of the time, man.
Yeah, I don't even know if what he was saying was funny to me because I couldn't get past that.
I remember
and that is like what
joke.
Performance is all about, right? Like I couldn't connect with it.
Yeah, he's a weird one. Sam Kinison is very weird. He's kind of like, I'm getting quiet, then I scream!
Yeah.
And I'm getting quiet, then I scream! It was, what the fuck? I thought the third time was the last time he'd scream.
Gimmick stuff, like, I think that would fall in gimmicky, do you think?
I mean, but I do think he's a brilliant comedian. I mean, for the time, because, like, that's the 80s. I mean, he died young, so it's easy to go, like, say, he didn't get a shot to do, like, keep going.
Yeah.
When you look back, it's almost always bad. Like, like how far back can you look at somebody and laugh? Like the fact that, like Eddie Murphy for me, like Raw and stuff, he's like, that's your job. Fuck your husband. Like that's your job. Fuck your husband.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like that sounds terrible. Like, but it's
I can't believe
it's funny then,
Yeah, and I mean because they are kind of pushing the envelope and being,
this is where we're at as a culture, and look at yourselves.
And it's kind of nice in the regards of like thinking how far like progress has been made in the sense where we do feel a little awkward watching something, even like the ones, Dennis Miller, the whitest of white dude that I assigned on my table of contents, which is like
being of its time.
Wow. Let's get to Dennis.
As we're telling the table of contents, Craig kind of hinted his was Craig Ferguson's "Does This Need to Be Said" from 2011. And mine was Dennis Miller's Black and White from 1990, which is a huge sentimental value. But yeah, there's definitely some like wow, this is definitely a 1990 kind of thing because there's so many like pop culture references. But then Ryan was Norm Macdonald. Me Doing Stand Up. Is that the name of it officially? Yeah. 2011 as well.
Yeah, same year as Craig's.
Which is cool because they're like a little more recent than mine. Was like the only real throwback oldie. Well, cool. Let's dive into these stand-up specials then and see what stuck so deep in our hearts, or maybe not. Just what we found funny.
I was very interested by your guys' picks too.
Yeah,
because I geek out in this stuff all the time, so I can't wait to.
Cool. Well, do you want to kick it off? Yeah, we've been doing guest first, but do you want to kick it off? Norm Macdonald.
Oh, all right.
61 minutes of Norm.
Oh, man, well, I feel like if we do, like, you should say stuff first because I said you should watch this. I just hope they got a good one because, like, it was just like sped up voice with the crackly sounds.
Yeah, it was rough.
I was like, God damn, because it's like, here's this brilliant Beatles album in the wrong key with like a bunch of crackle.
Yeah, you get.
I found a YouTube.
It hurts to hear it. It makes your ears bleed. But
I found a YouTube clip that was like where they had like a clouds background, and then
that
it was
like crackly.
The bottom corner.
I know that one.
So I missed a lot of like the visual humor, probably, which I don't think there's much with Norm, but like I kind of know what his shtick is. But I was watching it and but it was definitely more audio.
He keeps the mic in the stand. He does occasional but he's mostly audios basically.
And a weekend update, dude, which was funny that we both ended up with a weekend dude. I don't know, did he follow Dennis Miller? Do you remember?
May have been right after.
Yeah, like right after.
That's the weird thing is like you picked Dennis Miller and Norm Macdonald. They wear a suit and they keep the mic in the stand.
Yeah.
Whereas Craig Ferguson is like running around doing stuff.
Yeah.
And most of the comedians I like tend to do that. Be like, hey, like I'm gonna bring it up and like be animated and be fun. So it's kind of weird that I picked somebody. I don't typically like that. Like the mic in the stand. It's just like.
Yeah.
In one spot.
Even Dennis Miller's a little out of character for my overall taste in humor, but I'll explain later.
Whereas Craig Ferguson's like, I'm gonna like make this. He's like jumping around and doing
there's definitely
physical stuff, which is
because I started to like do shit while I was watching the Craig Ferguson one too, but then I was like, he's got like so much going on animation. And I was just like, this dude's like half of the humor is just watching him, but with Norm, I mean, it was like kind of right out of the gate. I thought the funniest parts were like the death humor stuff. It was pretty good. That was like probably some of the best bits wise. But I always liked him on Weekend Update too. I thought he was good.
I never even liked him on that. I just think his stand-up is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't love him, but I think it was like, I thought he did a good job with it. Yeah, and that's just kind of reference-wise, I guess, is what I had, and I could never really
I just say that because that's the thing he's known for. He's like, everybody's like, he's the guy from SNL, but I think his stand-up is just like...
Yeah.
I felt like, I did watch, like, the good copy that you posted a link to, so I kind of got the full effect, as much as I could, because I was working while I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what I thought was, like, because he is not animated at all, or for the most part, what struck me, and maybe because about 30% of the time I was just listening, like comedy, stand-up comedy, it's an obvious thing to say, but like stand-up comedy is performance, like it is acting at a certain level, and like his sort of cadence of speaking and his delivery of lines and even his sort of mumbly, I mean, I just got the impression like all of that is deliberate. Like you're selling those jokes based on that delivery, like the very specific Norm Macdonald delivery. Like somebody else could tell that joke and it might still be funny, but it would not be funny in the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
And that to me was like comedy as performance is like an act that someone puts on. Was what was really impressive about.
And that's what I like about him is like he plays an idiot, but he's not. He's brilliant. He's like, if you were to eat a egg, it should be an egg, but he deliberately is like, he's got this weird way of
sort of like
talking,
conversational tics and stuff.
But it's like he's not like, I'm the smartest guy in the room, but like he puts puts himself beneath you.
Yeah,
that bit about like heart, like he's like people.
It's like a terrorist is not going to get you.
What are the odds that like, ISIS is going to get you? Like, probably not. But like, what are the odds that your own heart will attack and kill you? About 100%. Like that guy's got a big heart. Well, you better fucking watch out.
To kill him. Yeah, that's some great shit, like the battling cancer stuff, where it's like he's battling cancer, like it's like, and then he lost. It's like,
well, that sucks.
It's like he lost the battle. It was like, I would rather just be like, it should be a draw, like the cancer didn't go on winning. And just putting it in that perspective where you have to fight a war against this, it's like it was some good humor with that for sure, and like.
And how long form he goes to if you transcribe like, just like albums, it's like an hour. He does like 10 minutes on like death and heart disease, and then he does 10 minutes on like serial killers and the news, and then he's not just like I noticed this thing and that. He's just like he stays with. Because
there was
so
one
long.
after it that
he just goes so deep and slow, and you just get there. But at the same time, you're like you look at it and you're like heart disease, alcoholism.
Murder.
But it's the whole time you feel like it's a cartoon. And he's addressing like the alcoholism thing, like my friend has alcoholism and it is a disease, but I think he's got the best one.
As opposed to battling cancer.
My Uncle Bert has bowel cancer. He's like, I bleed out all this blood from my bowels. Like, what are your symptoms? I tend to talk to people easier.
I get to be happy.
Sometimes I meet a lady that has the same disease as me.
Yeah, that was awesome for sure. Yeah, and the problem, I guess, with the longer ones is because, like, I think it was like the murder one or something. It was like burying someone in a shower. It was like kind of went on, and then it was like, the punchline was funny, but it was kind of like you're saying, a good 15 minutes worth of.
It's a rambly old man.
I would build a cabin. Start digging that hole like 2 years before.
And then I'd do the act that makes me feel like God, and it's like I can't believe how dark this is, but the way it's presented is like Looney Tunes or something.
It definitely didn't have the psycho factor, but it's pretty awesome. So I don't know, but just how'd you get into his? Did you just kind of randomly stumble upon it?
I watched a lot of stand-up, so much that I'm less funny now than I was when I started trying to be funny, because I'm just like, on my head.
Right.
I'm like, but it's just something about the writing, like the fact that you could just put on the audio at work and not watch him, where it's just the writing and the pacing of just his... Like, he just brings you into an idea, I feel like.
Like, I do really... It's like storytelling. Like, I do really feel like it's not just that he has a weird manner of speaking. It's that he is deliberately telling that story in that way with those pauses and the odd mispronunciations or whatever it is.
And that's a huge part of like just comedy in general. To me, it was so confusing, and the idea of like, I mean, I always knew that obviously they wrote it and like rehearsed it or something, but like that idea of like making it seem sincere and like this is the first time you're telling the story or the joke, and it's like, then for some reason, like as a kid, I never like imagined that they actually like toured around, and like maybe in some part of my head, like I just thought that they like did it in their basement and rehearsed it or something, and then they debuted it on HBO or something. But like, then you're like, it's just like that idea that they went around to like all these places and told the exact same jokes. I'm just like, oh wow, how could you do that? And I mean, like,
as long as there's new people,
hard.
You can do new. But the weird thing about like doing open mics in town is the same people.
Yeah.
So if I know I've told you guys a funny story, and I tell it to you again, I feel like a fraud. But if I get to go to a new city and tell it again, and everybody's like, it's new, then you it's different.
Yeah, because that'd be so hard. I mean, it's not like a song that, like, if you heard it a few times, you're like, yeah, it's actually cool. And you know, like most things, you watch it, you get a little more out of it each time. But like we were saying earlier, like comedy's tough because that initial laugh is kind of already taken. You know, even if the joke isn't delivered the best it could be on that first, that's got to be so tough because it's like, if you kind of just throw it out there and get the chuckle, but then if you fine tune it, are you really going to get the full on laugh? Unless you find a whole new audience. And damn, it's got to be tough. I can't even imagine.
I love that he talks about real stuff, but he makes it funny too. Like his dad died before that, and he was talking about like his dad died of heart failure. That was the whole heart bit, and they were like, he died in his sleep. He didn't feel a thing. It's like, really? Because when like cat walks across my chest and my sleep, like I feel like he's in a better place. He's on the floor. He's dead on the floor.
I jotted down.
He's in a better place. He was in his bed before.
He's in a better place. Well, he's fucking dead. He's not in a better place because he's dead.
And he ends it by he's like, I'm gonna get some defibrillators or whatever. Deliberately mispronounces it. I'm like preemptively attack my heart. Like, my heart's like, I didn't even do anything. That's right. You're not fucking going to.
Get you before you get me.
I don't know.
Awesome. Cool. Should we move on to Mr. Ferguson?
Let's do. My namesake.
Yeah. So did you just pick him because you had the same name?
Just a narcissistic
Craig and Craig.
Yeah.
So were you a fan going into this? You said
I was a fan of Craig Ferguson ahead of time
show,
from his late show, which he does not do anymore.
Yeah.
But he did it for like 10 years or so, and I think I mentioned before I'm an insomniac, so I would be up a lot. Not even for like the first run, but like the rerun that was on at like 3 o'clock on Comedy Central or whatever it was. So I would catch like
showings.
I would catch like the day after re-airing or whatever it was. And I mean, it was a weird show. There was like have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
There was like a gay robot and an assistant and a horse, and it was fucking weird
and
shit.
He's Scottish. It's like, why is he? You got like Leno, Letterman, Conan, Jimmy Fallon, some Scottish dude.
And then as far as I know, the only other thing he ever did was like Drew Carey, which in retrospect kind of sucked.
Yeah, I never really watched.
You know, I mean, I definitely watched it at times, but it like and he wasn't good in it.
Was he like his boss?
He was his boss, Mr. Douche or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I mean, like it wasn't that. But I just like caught it one night and it kind of struck me as odd enough to be funny. And then my wife and I watched this on YouTube or something. So
sweet. Yeah, it was a funny one too. I dug it. It was definitely some longer ranting. Like again, going back to the idea of it being casual. Like, and I think a lot of that, it did kind of just feel like a long monologue for a like a late show, which he's great at. So it's like. But yeah, just the way he makes it seem so casual. You wonder, it's like, how the hell? Almost like to an art of the like, how did you even rehearse this? Because it seems so like casual, just like and like he's like kind of laughing at his own shit, like he's saying it for the first time on a few of them, which is it's always a weird thing too. I think it's great when people kind of chuckle with their own jokes, but
I mean, nothing is like the best part of Saturday Night Live is when they crack
falls
themselves
apart.
up.
Yeah,
I mean, like genuinely.
It's spontaneous.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing. And that's the whole thing in stand-up is like, how do you like make it fresh? Because people, if you're trying to trick people, they can smell it on you. Like, it really doesn't work. Like, you have to find, even if you're doing material you've done, you have to try a new tag. And even if it's bad, it's like, it's current. Like, we, like, you know, when somebody's like, I ever tell you about just the fucking story that's been told. It's like, you have to find the way to, like, make things right now. I think people can tell. Like, they can always tell if it's...
Because even if you got a memory, it's like acting.
Like, I haven't said this before. This is, like, right now. Even if it's not good, I'm like, it's new. Like, that's what it has to be when you talk to somebody. Like, nobody wants to hear that. We're talking about our dads and shit, and it's like, here we go with this. Like, and I was just like, this exact same speech again. God damn.
It's like every cadence is the same, and it's just like, you know where it goes.
It has to be fresh. It has to be...
But yeah, he just seemed super casual because a lot of it was just like talking about showbiz talk and stuff, you know.
A lot of celebrity stories.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Like, I thought he was just so, like, animated.
Right.
Because he's, like, wearing the suit and he's, like, really, like, in control. But he would do, like, this little run with his legs. Right. Not that your listeners can see, but he'd do this little, like, run a lot. So he was kind of like this, like, commanding, charismatic guy, but he would do this, like, little, like, embarrassing things a lot. And that was, like, really was just funny to see him be so silly. Like, his, like, Fabio thing where he would tell these long stories and God's like, oh, is that fucking Fabio on the roller coaster? How does he make his shirt do that?
He
like,
talks about Fabio getting hit in the face with a bird that everyone knows.
Like, he could tell those long, I think the longer, like I love, like, Stephen Wright and Mitch Hedberg and, like, Dimitri Martin, like, the one-liner, he'd come out and just, like, bam, bam joke, but he could tell, Craig Ferguson could tell, like, a story that would last minutes. And they kind of, like, build. And then by the end, you're, like, kind of pissing yourself laughing. Like,
even if the payoff doesn't even have to be that big because, like, the ride is so nice that, you know, like, whatever the finale part of it is, just like, whatever. It's just like... And the fact that, that one in particular, when he's talking about the Fabio thing, where because he was cracking himself up, and he's like, what the fuck are the chances of this bird hitting me? Because it is just like something everyone's like heard a billion times, which is even more amazing that he can like tell the story that everybody knows about that, you know. But so it's not like it's like, what? When did this happen? But at the same time, it's just like you're just picturing it. He just paints the whole picture, and you just picture old Fabio coming down the roller coaster and that bird hitting him in the face.
He just has that quality, like, you just like him. Like, he's like, I'm going to make this fun. It's like, you can tell he's like, I'm not afraid to make an ass of myself if that's what it takes.
And I guess because it being 2011, both of them actually had Tiger Woods crossover jokes. That was like, what you wouldn't think would be a huge comedic gold mine, but like both of them had Tiger Woods.
Both minded,
it was, and kind of both in favor. They were just like, you know, it's fucking Tiger Woods. Did you have any negatives with it? Being like a fan of Craig Ferguson, how did it hold up to other stuff? I hadn't really seen any of his other.
I enjoyed it like throughout, and I've seen a couple other of his stand up things, and they're pretty funny. But I'm predisposed to kind of enjoy it anyway. Yeah, so
awesome. Great intro too, if nothing
else.
Oh
yeah, there's like he's like a leather boy and
sax guy,
and he ends it the same way.
It's
like they come out and they're like,
it's like, all right, cool.
Great opening. He's like did it for like a southern crowd too. Like a good joke. He's like, I can relate to you guys in the South because everybody thinks they can do my accent better than me.
To me, sort of the high point, and he's sort of in the middle, so it's sort of like what it builds to maybe is when he talks about, you know, having a failed marriage and having learned from that you need to ask yourself three things, you know. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does it need to be said by me right now? And like, I think like one of the funniest things, I mean, nothing's weirder than real life. And one of the funniest things is just stuff that you can draw from real life, you know.
Sure.
You know, the Dennis Miller thing was he kind of touches on some sort of like real ideas and opinions and thoughts about real people and real things going on, and that's funny. And like to me, that was probably the best part of it.
I wrote that down too. It was like that was a great. and they end up being like the title track.
right, and it's like it's a joke, but it's also like, I mean, it's sage advice.
Yeah,
it has to be real. Like, I mean, I don't know, I guess there are people like Stephen Wright, these weirdos, where I'm like, I don't know. He's like, I got some powdered water, but I didn't know what to add to it. And there's something about how weird he is where that's like makes me laugh. But it's like, it usually has to be about real stuff I care about. Like, how am I going to make my marriage work? Or what's, it's weird. Like, I think most humor I like is like sage advice about real stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's few outliers that manage to just talk about nothing.
Right.
Weird shit. I'm like,
just make it as random and weird as possible.
How is that funny?
Like, because that can like definitely fling back the other way. Like as far as just like what we find funny in general, like, definitely crazy weird shit. Like Kids in the Hall always like, it's like, whoa, where did that come from?
It's
but
like
then
stonery.
yeah, but I mean, and then that's kind of gotten so played out over the years too. That like we even just see like a fucking commercial now, and they're like, well, clearly they're just trying to like, they got a bunch of kids in a room, and they're like, let's just make it as weird as possible, and it won't make any sense. And it's like, yeah, I'd rather watch that than just some guy like filling out forms on their kitchen table. But at the same time, it's like it's not quite as funny, So it's tough to say.
It should mean something.
Yeah, like when you can find that reference or that thing that you can pull out of it, it's definitely a lot better.
Yeah, he dropped like several marriage things in there that I liked.
Yeah,
his like self-deprecation about had some failed marriages. It was in there several times, and it made me laugh every time.
Yeah.
It took me 3 marriages to learn that.
He talks about being an alcoholic in it, I think.
Yeah, he does.
And like in his actual life, like, New Year's Eve, whatever, 1999, whatever, like he was walking to a bridge to kill himself because he knew he was an alcoholic and things were not going well, and he got distracted from killing himself because a friend offered him a drink. So he went to go get drunk instead. So, he talks about that.
It's a lot of levels.
Alcoholism saved my life. People are trying to say, don't be an alcoholic.
Yeah, he ran into a friend and got drunk instead. So.
Nice. So shifting gears to our final selection. My final selection, Dennis Miller, Black and White, 1990.
A very long time ago.
Just after the Bruins got back together.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really care for the old shit, but was that in that one? I didn't really rewatch this one that much. I feel like I know it.
Really?
Yeah,
So
I kind of skimmed through it.
I would, before we offer our opinions, I would like to know, like, I think that it must have some specific sentimental value to you.
Yeah, we just taped it and we watched it constantly, and for some reason we always just latched onto it. And it was like, I think it was because watching it now, he's like super smug and like just kind of talking a lot of shit.
Pretty douchey.
Pretty douchey, but at the same time, it was like for every like joke that went over my head as a kid, and I was just like, what the fuck is he talking about? And dropping every 20-cent word or whatever, it's like, it was like he would still throw in enough dumb like pop culture references where you're like, yeah, that Doctor's commercial is
I
stupid.
do know Bugle Boys.
Yeah, Bugle Boys is stupid.
I'd forgotten that those were a thing.
Yeah,
but then he would drop in like a bunch of philosophers.
Right.
Like, there's no way anyone like knows like Boo Radley. I kind of remember him from that book, but it's just like, and I think we all know like, but it's just like bam, 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 bam. Like,
but I thought that was like, it was kind of fun was because like my brothers would be laughing at like a different part of the same joke, and like to me it was always kind of, and they're all like they're quick enough, and it probably was based on like the Weekend Update idea or like premise, or it was like and then he would kind of move on pretty quick. It wasn't like a huge story joke, I guess. Like the annoying part, like watching it now in hindsight, was like his rants were always a little kind of where he gets like bah, 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 and then he gets a little more political and stuff, and which was funny watching this, and like that's why I kind of even hesitated picking this one because he got so like uber douchey in like the Bush years, like W. Bush years, where he got like super like conservative and like being the conservative comedian, and took on that angle, which was weird because clearly different than his views in this one, like where even though he kind of hinted at things like that, but like and whatever political views don't really if he defended fine. You know, I don't really give a shit. But like,
it's entertainment.
Yeah, as long as it's fun. But like,
hopefully,
yeah,
that's the idea.
But yeah, so I'm not really standing by his full body of work, is what I guess I'm throwing a disclaimer out. But like, yeah, there's still some funny fucking jokes in there. Like, I felt like there's still like.
What was your favorite joke? What's one that you like?
Jeez, I don't know. Let's see. What did I jot down? Like, they're all kind of. But the fact that they were memorable, you know, like we're just like it's stupid enough as like the Sports Illustrated sneaker phone one.
Yeah.
Because I remember those fucking commercials as a kid. And he's like, these people, like, what is wrong with these people? Like, they're so excited. It was always like the infomercial, and they pick up the phone kind of thing. They're like, oh, it's a phone. It's a phone.
It's not a shoe.
Yeah, and he's like, what the fuck?
Like the observational, like, am I the only sane person
yeah.
alive at this time?
Right.
What are we doing with
the person that like Bell called on the first day of inventing the phone? Like, wasn't this excited by the fucking invention of the telephone? But these people are like, oh my god, this is a telephone. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it was more just like the pop culture kind of references, you know. It was like that, and the Born Agains, that was the other big one, or the whole like nobody finds Jesus on prom night when they're getting laid. It's only when you fucked up so bad that nobody on earth wants to talk to you anymore. that one's always kind of stuck with me. Where it's just like, yeah, it's like, oh shit, here comes that guy. Jesus, yeah, you found him. He wasn't looking for you, kind of thing. But so yeah, I don't know. But yeah, he's just a weird dude, I guess, and I guess kind of just always like the SNL angle. But you think the smug factor overrides? I'm curious.
The first couple times I tried to watch it, I checked out.
Yes,
about 15 or 20 minutes. There's a point in like around somewhere between 15 and 20 some minutes where he uses the phrase. I actually wrote it on my arm while I was working on it. Nouveau gauche.
Wow.
Nouveau gauche money. And I was like, nope. Click. You are a dick.
He's like, I am the smartest guy.
And he is very smart.
But he is. But it's like, but I think Norm Macdonald is like plays the idiot, and he's like,
but is
I'm also the
take
smartest.
a look at yourselves. Whereas, like, he's just like, oh, I was just reading some, like, biblical stuff with some things. And it's just like, oh, his head's, like, doing the, like,
bopping around.
It's just like,
he's got, like, that, like, sort of classy, like, 80s sausage roll mullet going on, like, a crappy
It was toned down in this one, too, because I was all, like, even watching, I was like, all they're going to focus on is his fucking crazy mullet, because I remember it from the old, like, other ones, because he has other specials where the mullet's
I appreciated that he opened with one Potsy self-deprecation joke. Oh, yeah, someone into the hair salon asked for the Potsy. And now that we've laughed once at me, everybody else now for the next hour. And he's like, ah.
And my one self-deprecating joke was about Potsy, which is really dated, even when this was filmed.
True.
And not even so bad. Like, Potsy's kind of a handsome young lad. So I was like, he's like, now that I've...
You know who sucks? That moron who played Potsy.
But it's not like you can call him out on any of the intellectual shit, because he's right. I mean, it wasn't like he was making false references.
There are points, like when he really starts getting political, there are points where I agree with him philosophically, for sure. But he's still just like he's making a point about at one point about like how the sort of people in control, the conservatives, I think want to sort of like inflict their thoughts on other people and how they suck for it, but like that's what you're doing, dude.
Right,
like
right.
you're that person. You're the nouveau gauche, dickweed.
But he would do, I guess, in defense of, because I'm in that angle, I guess. But like I like the rants in the sense that it would be 80% like pseudo-intellectual, if not intellectual, like the build-up of or pretentiousness, I guess. But then he would always kind of end it on like a stupid joke almost to kind of round it out. Like it was always like it was brought.
That's because
like
when he was writing, he was like, better dumb it down.
Yeah, like
idiots, bro. Like because not everybody's Dennis Miller,
right? But
highbrow literature references that I sprinkle into every joke.
I don't know if that makes it worse or better.
Let me ask you this though: like when you watched it again, like did you watch it all again?
Yeah.
You watched the whole.
I made it through it all. Yeah.
What did you laugh?
I laughed at some of the old jokes. Like, I was kind of expecting to not laugh.
Because you have to laugh.
Because I kind of remember...
I did laugh a couple of times. I mean, it's not like it's horrible.
Yeah, I laughed at a lot of it.
I laughed too.
But the smugness actually kind of hit me by surprise because I didn't remember him being like...
And you went back further, like with the humor thing being dated. I mean, you went back like 25 years, whereas we're like 5 years back.
And and as a kid, I was
riskier.
I took him for being like, wow, he's just crazy smart. So there was so much that like seemed it was just over my head. So like I didn't hold against him for being smug as a kid. Now I'm kind of like, I was watching, I was like, yeah, what the fuck is he? It's like blah, 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 he's like DB Cooper, blah blah blah. And now that I actually do know
actors,
a lot of those
other comedians, impersonating Jack Nicholson, he's like, everybody's fucking full of shit.
It wasn't really as genius as I thought it was as a kid, because I actually did like even Edgar Winter and shit. I'm like, oh, I know who that is now. That joke makes sense. And it isn't that funny.
I was like, man, I wouldn't have gotten to that.
Yeah, like as a kid though, I mean, it was somebody like even the D.B. Cooper joke or something. I'm like, I don't know who that is. So,
I was like, you don't watch stand-up specials now. That was what I gathered from it. You're like,
I don't watch new ones. You mean?
Yeah, because it was that far. There must have not been one in the last 5 years that you really loved.
No, I like the new ones. I think it was hard to like. And I don't know, for some reason with this show, I always pick stuff that's a little more sentimental for some reason, just because there's something to dig up that's more than the surface chuckle, But actually, a huge part of like why I wanted to go with this one too was they were memorable jokes, and I think that's a weird thing with comedy. Even like watching, even like a lot of Louis C.K. stuff, it's awesome. Like as soon as I'm done watching it, like if somebody like tells me about it, I'll remember it, but like they don't really stick in your head. And it's weird. Even like the Craig Ferguson one and stuff, I hadn't made like notes because they're so rambly, I guess, and like conversational that it's just funny while you're watching it. But like the idea, it's with this Dennis Miller ones and shit, because they're so pop culture references and shit. Everything's just like reference. But like anytime I would see like like a Dockers commercial after that, I'm like kind of chuckling, because they're like filming everything at dick level, as he says in the '90s, and it was just like
you're like I watched like Louis C.K. and Craig Ferguson, but the content doesn't really stay with me so much as Dockers jokes do.
Well, I'm just saying. I guess I put it in music terms. It was like the idea of like a song that sticks with you after you hear it the first time, and like not just because this is sentimental. I've heard it a billion times, but like same time, I mean, shit's funny, and I watch like tons of funny ones.
And Dockers is like when we were young. It's like defining.
Yeah,
it's like a defining
and
thing.
that's clearly not the funniest joke on that.
But it's like it's like in there back when you have space for like things. Now it's like whatever that commercial is now, we don't even know.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that joke in that product, more just that it's something that you see later and you think of that joke. But I mean, I guess then even going back to what we were saying of like relationship jokes and stuff, that's a little heavier because as an adult it's funnier because it means something and it's a little more like thought put into it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, does it really stick in your head? Like next time you're in like a conversation with your wife, are you really going to be like, this reminds me of that time that Louis C.K. told that joke? What I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I don't even know if that's a good or bad thing with comedy, but like the idea, is it better or worse to have like a memorable joke? Maybe it's not, because I mean, it's such a spontaneous thing. Do you even want to have a memorable joke? When you're doing comedy, is that something you even like strive for?
I think it should be about really important things like Dockers.
You're clinging, bitch.
Edit it too. Like this.
Let's call Donald in here and get this in here. But no, clearly the Docker fucking joke isn't the funniest one. But at the same time,
he suffers. It's just too much on all fronts.
Yeah.
At least from our perspective today. So it's like if his delivery were different, because he's just like boom joke, boom joke, boom joke, boom joke.
How many things has he covered? Like if you transcribed it, it'd be like this politician, this thing, and it's like 3 minutes have passed, and he's just like eating through it, which is very cerebral and like intellectual and amazing. But like Norm is like this bumbling fool. He's like heart disease, and it's kind of, but it's like.
You get like
and that's just my taste. I'm not saying it's better, but I'm saying like you go deep on these things. Like that's what I want to like forget my life and go deep and like this, just like bam, 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 bam.
I like the storytelling aspect of somebody like Norm. But yeah, if it weren't just, it's just like the whole package, and it is very 90s. Like it is so dated, and it's not just because they're topical jokes, and that's a lot of it. Like, because you could listen to Norm and most of the stuff he talks about.
I hate everything Norm did in the 90s. Like, I only like him in the last 5 to 10 years too. Like, I would dislike Norm stuff from that same era even more.
Yeah, I just think, like, if you listen to me doing stand up, most of those jokes are not topical or referential to the day, you know. I mean, maybe Tiger Woods or whatever.
That's an interesting point.
Where like, so they are still funny later on. Yeah. Whereas, you know, like, if you don't know what Dockers are, you don't know, like, dude, who the fuck.
And if I hadn't grown up and heard those jokes at that age and known those, it'd be fucking stupid.
I just like his delivery and his sort of demeanor and his look and the content of the jokes. It's just like, boom, boom, another brick, another brick, another brick, another brick.
There's so many people I wanted to pick. I don't even know why I picked. Like, we all had to pick the person.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're clearly saying that these might not even be our pinnacle favorites or whatever.
Yeah, well, you love the Dockers.
I think it's clear that I'm
any other joke
standing
of all time,
by Dennis Miller over every other thing in the
world.
He's
clearly better.
Yeah,
but like George Carlin,
I think maybe you may just need to accept the fact you're not smart enough to understand
Dockers jokes. It takes. You have to have a Dennis Miller level.
Maybe in a couple of years you'll get it. You know, it's just,
like I'm like on my deathbed. I'm like, fuck, that Dockers joke
it really was
it took a lifetime of experience to really.
And if nothing else, next time you see Dockers, you gotta think of it.
But like George Carlin had a thing where like he was like, I'll never tell jokes that are of the time. Like he was like kind of what you're saying, where he was like, I don't ever comment on, like, I never mention a president's name or a brand or anything. Like it has to be just these like religion and these things that last. Or I mean, that's pretty extreme because I laugh at stuff all the time because it's what's happening now. But like, you know, like the Dennis Miller thing is just unique because he is commenting. He's just like critiquing society in a way. And when I didn't laugh much at Dennis Miller, but I was also like, God damn! In 1990, this guy's fucking telling the truth about shit, which is kind of more what comedy became afterwards too. So he is kind of getting up and telling the truth, and they're like, the people in the room were laughing, and it was like on the record. So it was ballsy and brilliant and. Yeah. 25 years later, it's like, well, who gives a shit? But he was very much like, this is what's happening now. And like, people like Carlin, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like, how much do you say, like, I want to like be now or be timeless? And I mean...
And even with that idea, I'm sure you guys had the same, thought where it's like, well, yeah, clearly one of us should pick up Eddie Murphy and a George Carlin and a Richard Pryor, But it's just like, bring your favorite album. It's like, I brought the Mozart. Yeah. It's like,
the Beatles White Album.
Yeah, you ever heard of this, Jim? So there was definitely...
You wanted to pick something.
Yeah, this
this
is my shame about Ray, for sure. It's like, come on, man, this is awesome. Everyone's like,
It's interesting that you mentioned George Carlin because I feel like if you could just dial back some of the smugness, like just some of his own personality, and that's part of it for me. Like
with Dennis Miller?
Yeah, with Dennis Miller. Like if I met Dennis Miller within about 5 minutes, even if I agreed with him, I'd want to punch him in the fucking forehead. Right. Like he was just totally nuts.
Well, that's what's so weird about comedy is like how much it is just that personal connection to the person.
That's where it gets down to. It's like it's not. Yeah, it's like what? Who is this?
Like George Carlin is a smart dude with like absolute like philosophical, political ideas, and he talks about those things, but he talks about them in a different way, and he comes at them from a different angle, and he does not come off as smug, and he's certainly the smartest person in the room. But it's just a whole other, because in doing all this, you start watching stuff on YouTube, and you get down the rabbit hole, and you just start seeing bits and pieces and snippets, and there's a ton of George Carlin on there associated with videos from Dennis Miller, and it's just like a whole other experience, even though he's still kind of a smug bastard, and he's still kind of smarter than everybody else, and but it comes across different to me.
And what is comedy? At some point, like even like George Carlin, by the end of it, I don't enjoy. I'm like, it's kind of the same as Dennis Miller. This is a brilliant man telling truths, but I'm like, it's not really that entertaining to me. Like, he's so real and true, where I'm like, I kind of would rather just laugh at things where, like,
other than be worried.
It's just like, it's like, it's weird. Like the whole idea of this, like, this is stand-up comedy is like not even it's like, this is music. It's like, it's broad, it's not one thing.
Yeah, it's true. Like, just like how serious they take it, or how, I guess, political or religion, or if it's more disposable.
I want to laugh. That's why I don't like do. I mean, I like people that make me think a lot, but it's like I also just want to like God damn, like life is hard. Being like a middle class white man in America is really hard.
Tough.
Got a lot on your plate.
Just people throwing money at me all day.
Can't be dealing with doctor jokes.
I'm just trying to hang out in my Bugle Boy G shorts.
Like, I'm wearing them, so I don't want to laugh.
I think we found.
I don't find it funny.
What the fuck's so funny about doctor?
I've got a pleated front khaki, and I feel special.
You're like a little beat my ass about the Dockers jokes. A little bit, not so funny.
A little defensive now.
I like it when he makes fun of other people's pants.
It's all making sense.
Who's the character? Is he above the audience or below them or on their level?
And I don't know why. Sometimes I lean towards, because I'm a dude that, like, personally, like, in real life, if a person's, like, remotely smug, it's like, bam, wall up, I hate you. Like, not hate, but, like, I'm just like, ugh. But, like, for some reason, like, my musicians and actors, the fact that, like,
makes perfect sense, You gotta
not really
compensate. Is this balance?
I guess,
I have my real life, and then I have the people I like. And
people to be a little smug, like Bentley and you and mine, Morrissey. I want these people to be a little
Smith. Everybody's like some like God on earth. Like, I have my demands if I will play your club.
Maybe.
And then you're like,
Morrissey for sure.
Sadler, he needs to
Ethan Hawke
demand.
I need my heroes to be smug, I guess. I didn't know that.
There's sort of that Sandler-Miller line.
Yeah.
Somehow on a chart where you've got to cross over into the other quadrant.
Yeah, I need to just find that Norm MacDonald in the middle somewhere.
Yes.
But yeah, it's weird. I never realized
I think he's
how
like
much...
Adam Sandler. He's like, I'm a fucking idiot. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It's just
but if you really study him, you're like, he's so smart.
It is like
he knows if you act, you're better.
He's like, chicken, you're a fucking idiot.
I don't know about that.
Stop singing this shit.
I don't know about
that.
I think they're idiots.
If you're on Capitol Records, I expect a little more from you. If you're making major motion pictures, I want you to be smug, I want you to be up there on the stage, like, spitting on me a
Dennis
little bit.
Miller.
I want him flipping his mullet at me.
Does he do anything? Does he do anything these days? He was on Monday Night Football for a while.
Now.
Yeah.
He supports Trump now.
Actually, what was the deal with Norm MacDonald being, like, super kind of righty, too? I didn't realize he had, like, some W, like, support, apparently. I don't know, it's hard to say with the internet.
I didn't hear about
that.
But
yeah, I found a bunch of weird shit, like, where he was like, Reagan's the best president ever, and W was great, but yeah, like Des Miller definitely shifted gears, which is really weird.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, I mean,
like being that self-assured and that positive, you're correct, sort of lends itself to eventually becoming conservative.
Getting a ton of money. And
there's only one place. If I'm going to be right all the time, there's only one place for me. It's the Republican.
He did decent for a while, like after SNL and the comedy sketches. And funny that he had a late night show. Did you guys ever watch Dennis Miller's? It was
he
like
interviewed
about
George
like
Carlin on his show.
Yeah, and like. So, like, Ferguson and him. Did Norm ever have, like, a late night? Or did he ever guest as a...
No, he actually... There's a time where he was like, I'd love to host my own show. And he was like, I think we're good. Because he's kind of like a loose cannon style guy. He's actually, like, offended. He got fired from SNL. I mean, he's like... he'll say what he wants to say. He's kind of crazy.
This is a terrible idea. So, not have a late night.
I think he played Colonel Sanders for a while. Doesn't do that anymore either. So
I'm not like, it's weird to have to pick somebody because this.
Yeah, I feel like we're just
stand up is something I'm so into. Like I mean, like some of the Louis C.K. albums, I could have easily picked those, but it would have been like picking like Eddie Murphy or George Carlin. There's so many people. I wanted to pick somebody that I feel like maybe you didn't think about being a good stand-up, and who knows if you do even now. But there's just so many. Like I almost feel like now we do it again in 10 years, and we'll pick like 3 people and just watch like 5 to 10 minutes, because an hour is a long time. Like, we both hopefully watch 3 full hours. I mean, that's still, even people I like and their new thing comes on Netflix, I'm like, an hour. It's a long time if you're not at the theater. It's hard to hold people's attention with. It's just my body and my voice and a microphone. I mean, that's hard. Like I think like Craig Ferguson of the 3, it's like weird that I didn't pick him, but he's just like moving around and just like doing the faces and stuff. I think there's something about that I really like. You know,
like in hindsight, I probably enjoyed that one the most, just because
me too.
Was like,
me too.
You know? Craig was
because he's got my first name.
Craig was fantastic.
I didn't actually watch it, but I saw the first name was good.
Cool. Well, real quick, maybe I'll do a rundown of. So, do you have a favorite comedy movie?
Ooh, probably. I mean, Clue is an excellent one. It's really, really good. But I'm going to go deep cut, dark horse candidate. And I'm going to say the Dragnet movie with Tom Hanks and Dan
Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. It's not a good movie, but it's hilarious.
I remember laughing as a kid. I haven't seen it in ages.
God. It's got some really funny parts in it.
I'll have to revisit that.
Tom Hanks is good.
We should be sure to assign that at some point.
You know what?
We should do it.
Maybe I already did in our debut episode.
In the future. Past. How about you, Ryan? Do you have a favorite comedy movie?
Reassign it. Like, as far as comedies go, I don't know. It's like the whole genre is just like I like it when they like sprinkle. Like to me, comedy is surprise, like being surprised. So, like when like a Coen Brothers movie has an unexpected, like Nicolas Cage is like running with the diapers through.
Right.
That's
like,
just
so. Part doesn't even have to be a comedy movie, but like,
I like it more when it's a beautifully shot, wonderfully acted, incredibly movie. Like there's like I think it's No Country for Old Men, where like the guy comes in like the Western clothing store and he's naked and he's like, "You guys."
Sounds right.
Get a lot of naked people here. And the dude's like, "No, sir, it's unusual." And it's just like a long pause, and it's just like very like austere. Like, to me, it just
their movies are great for that. Even like do these blow up into funny shapes with raising hands? Those raising hands.
Yeah, exactly.
If you think round's funny,
if you think round's because you're like in the middle of you're like. I'm in the middle of this whole plot, and I'm just into it, and then somebody like drops it. It's like real life. Where you're like in some.
Well,
like,
that's why I think it's tough to have like a comedy movie because it is so like it has to be. It's already been defined as it's supposed to be funny.
It's romantic and it's comedy. Like, it'll save your marriage and it'll be fun. Like expectations. That's the weird thing about doing stand up is like that's the weird challenge about it. It's like. A very funny guy. He's going to make you laugh. Get up here like, and everybody's like, well, I got 30 seconds before I pick up my phone. Like, let's see. And you're just like, and a lot of times doesn't go so well. That's what's so great about it. It's just like you have to surprise, like It's like, God damn, I thought it was.
So what year are you on now? Because you had a bit of a sneaky start.
You want the stats?
I want some stats. So how long have you been doing it?
The stats is stand up. I'm like a year and a half in.
Okay.
I've done it 130 times.
Whoa, you kept track?
I'm OCD.
What's 131 coming up? So this is like an anniversary?
Probably Tuesday. Yeah.
Jesus, you really at 130?
I've done 130.
That's a nice
last night was 130.
Wow, cool. Yeah. Awesome. So
it's a little creepy that he knows the number, but guess what? It's a weird bunch out
there. That's not even the weirdest part of it.
I doubt that it is.
Because I've heard like just people talk, and they're always like, the 3-year mark. Have you heard about that? Or
people count it in years, and that's just such a weird thing. Like people are always like. I've been doing stand-up like for 3 years or 5 years, but it's like how many times? Because like fuck those
like
stats.
Once every 6 months for 3 years.
If you have a once a month like TGI Fridays thing you go to for 3 years, it's not the same as like living in New York and doing it like every night. Like like the pros do it like every night, and there's people like Ali Wong, she put up a post just like, I've done it like 9 times in a night. You know, like navigating. So it's like there's the
different crowds. I mean, I'm assuming nobody's going from one place to the other. Do they stagger the venues? I mean, how do you?
Comedy is really hot in Nashville right now. There's like 2 or 3 that are like always great open mics per week, and then there's different showcases. But
where at? We're all about plugging the local.
The Southern, like on Wednesday nights, is the longest running. It's the best. I mean, it's an open mic, but it's you guys should come. It's guaranteed to be like at least something happened to you. Wednesday nights at the Southern, you've been there. That's a good one. And then the Auditorium on Tuesdays is also like I'd say that's the second best. And then there's like a couple
emerging ones
battling it out for like. There's like a Sunday and a Thursday. It kind of from there. It kind of depends on the week, but you can find a third.
Right. So you get to the point where you can almost do it every night.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, some people could, like younger people who don't have families and day jobs, but
could if you just want to destroy your whole family. Probably not in the cars at this point.
That's actually the main reason I'm
just like, I
couldn't just destroy it on my own. That would be too hard.
I don't even care about telling jokes. I just want to get away from my family for
I mean, there is some of that. Like, I'm honest with Emily about that. It's like I work in a cubicle, and I'm a family man. I spend evenings and weekends with my family. So then after everybody goes to sleep, I can go out and do these things. And it's a place where you can say anything. Like, you know, you work in a place you can't say anything. Like I work for the government in a cubicle. Like it's a place where anything goes, and it's just like I'm so tired, and I just like get there. I'm just like, God, I shouldn't even. But then, like, every time, it's like something happens where we put on a show together. And I'm old enough to know I'm not going to make it as a stand. It's not about me. It's not like I thought with music. It's like something crazy is going to happen. And it's just really something.
Part of a night that,
like I'm like old enough. I'm 37. Like I'm really just starting to appreciate just being a part of things and not it being about me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even as a kid going to live music shows, it's like funny and how rare I get out now and I see them, it dawns on me more and I'm like, yeah, it's just another show or whatever, but like at the same time it's like it is always kind of amazing when you really realize that like this is the only time the show's happening. Somebody might be streaming it online or whatever the fuck, but like in this room with these people, it's the only time this is happening, you know, and it's something magical to that. And it's like, you know, and if you're not there, it's not the end of the world. But at the same time, if you are in there, it is something to appreciate and stop and just be like, what the fuck this is cool because I'm like in the thick of this, you know, and whether it be comedy or music, I'm sure that translates.
And even like a first timer, like it takes so long to get, like a year and a half, I'm not good at this. I mean, it takes like 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, that's what I kept hearing with the 3 year was like once you've done it for 3 years, something clicks. So
and it's like, how many times a week did you do it for? And who are you? It's like, some people figure it out quicker than others, but it's just like, just to be a part of like, even watching somebody that's like their 4th time, if you can get over that like, weird cringiness, so like just flailing, like there's something so real, like so much of my day at work is just like just phony, just fucking like it's watching somebody just bomb. It's like it lets you know you're alive, like when you bomb, you're like, which is mostly what it is. It's just so real. It's this weird addiction. And you're just like, this is like something is happening here. Like I'm not saying it's a good thing, but like something's fucking happening in this room, and it's just like 5 minutes, like bam, 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 and 5 minutes. If somebody's bad, it's like how long? This has been like an hour. Right. But if somebody's good, it's like what? That was 5 minutes. That's gone. Right. And then you go there for a few hours and you have a few drinks, and it's like just a montage of like people, and there's a lot of fun people here. Wow. Yeah, and it's really something.
Have a panic.
It's really something. But don't ever come once and think you've seen it, because people will come once and like, I saw the open mic, I saw it, and like Gavin's happened to come on all the worst.
I don't know why he's doing this shit. It's torture.
But, no, I mean, but some nights it's just like, oh, you're like we put on this show for these people,
and I totally see the varying degrees. Like I'm just
people talk about shit from their childhood that's just like, are we allowed to, like, there's like some transgender people here that are just like, this is who I fucking am, like, take it or leave it, like
it's like their night to just fucking do it.
People I'm just like a straight white guy, like, what even do I have to offer? But it's like we have just people that are hilarious. plug in the local scene.
No, yeah, it sounds amazing, and we're gonna try to get out and tack it onto this. But yeah, I mean, just as far as your approach, do you like how long do you give? Like, say you have a joke in mind, or bit for better words of like what is the cutoff of like? Do you have it of just how many times you try it? If it's like going, how much do you keep revising it? Like, I'm always fascinated by like the modifying of a joke,
Yeah, it's like
is there an X amount of like chances you give it before you're just like, fuck this?
I know what you're asking, and it's like I'm really like I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I really don't.
Yeah.
Like it takes a long time, but like I know more than I did like a year and a half ago when I started.
Seems like
and like I did like a 10-minute showcase like 2 months ago where I did 10 minutes, and it took me like a year and some months to get those 10 minutes, and I've tried to throw all that out. And like throw out new stuff.
Because I've seen the progress just in ones that you've said at various times, and I've seen, and then like in various times I was like, wow, this is really evolved, as far as a joke. But at the same time, I don't really know how you would craft that. Is it like as opposed to like a song, like modifying it?
I think it's like you always need to like have like some things, but you should never just be telling the same. You know that person you hang out with that tells the same stories and the same jokes? Like, it needs to feel alive and in this moment. So
it's more of that than just like picking apart word for word and phrasing.
Like, I've been writing songs for like 25 years. And that's the thing I know the most. So like with jokes, I've been writing jokes for like a year and a half. So I try to think like whatever I've got that I think is good now is not that good. Right. So, like I have those jokes that kind of work, and I can, if like nobody's laughing, I can pepper one of those in. But really, it's like throw things out and just keep moving forward. Like always, just keep moving forward, and that's the whole thing. I'm not gonna be famous. Well, that's why I just wonder how much like is the delivery and stuff like the production of a song. I always felt like you can take like a mediocre song, but if you record it in the studio and put like a ton of cool shit behind it, you could save it. Like what you were saying about writing in the basement, you can never do that with comedy. Like you have to like how your first people judge you in the first 30 seconds, and like your body language and your rhythm, like so much of it is just delivery and performance, but then you also have writing, so it's a weird but so you got the writing, and it's like you have to keep your chops up and get up a lot and be comfortable, because people can just sense on you whether you're comfortable or not. That's really why I do it, is because like I feel like I've never really been funny, and I've always been intimidated speaking to people in crowds, so it's kind of a way to try to learn to read a room and like adapt. Like these are like life skills I want to learn. I don't expect to be a famous comedian, but I think it's really fascinating, just how hard it is, and interesting. The way you dive into shit's pretty. But then when you get a bunch of people to laugh, like occasionally, it's like the best. It's like the weirdest. Like if you get a bunch of strangers to laugh at some story you told about your kid going to the doctor to get shots, and she ripped it out, and there's blood all over her face. Like if you get people, it's just. Like fuck music, like we'd be like, we should all be sad, which is what I've done.
But if everybody's sad together, it's kind of the same thing. That's my goal. If I can bum out a whole room. I've done that for 25 years. Now I want to make them happy. I want to try to make them happy for the next 25. Not to knock making a room full of people sad. I think that's like a huge quality.
He left us the Smiths and the Cure. Like, of course, this motherfucker likes being sad. Like,
if somebody isn't fucking sad by the end of the night, then you didn't do your job.
I just like in equal parts am amazed that you have the wherewithal to do it, because by the time my kid's asleep, I just don't have anything left. Like there's nothing left, and I also just think it is the craziest fucking thing anybody has ever just been like, I think I'm just going to do that. Like, because you could have just been like, I'm just going to learn how to make bread. Bread. Like it is just crazy.
So you get it. Like, you got the light in your eye. You know how insane it is.
I mean, like, and that's like I would just,
and especially because it's not like like you're saying, like on a given night, like knowing Wednesday night I have to go do this.
I know.
It's
all
not
day
like,
you're like.
Because with like music, you can like know the song, and you can get there, and you might not be able to play it with as much passion as you would on a Friday night or something. But at the same time, you're playing the chords, you're singing the melody. But it's like knowing you have to be funny at 8:30 tonight. I mean, it's just like,
and knowing that like this joke is funny to me, but I know it's only 3/4 of the way there.
Like, there's so much of that. There's so much of that. Like, you just have to be like, this. I thought it was as funny as not. I thought it was as funny as not. I thought it was okay. Maybe there's something there. If I change it, nope, still not funny. Like, it's just so hard. Like and like I thought it was just funny, but it turns out it's offensive, and I'm ashamed. I was insensitive to like how sexist I was. Like, you feel
have you had people
shame.
call you out?
Oh yeah, I've like felt so much shame from it.
Really?
But the weird thing is, I
like
think,
from audience members, or like
just reactions and stuff. But I think like you guys are both so much more naturally funny than me, you know, knowing you guys, but it's just like, it's just, I'm just fucking insane.
Just the thought of doing it makes me want to be a puddle. Like, I just could not.
And like that idea of like, I have to be funny at 8:30 tonight would just be enough to be like, no, it's not gonna happen.
Like, all I can do.
You have like those random nights where you're just having beers with your friends and like, I'm fucking on tonight. We're having a good time. But
then
it's
like contextually funny. Like, in the moment.
Like something happens.
Still, it's like about like 7, I'm like, I don't know what I'm even trying to do. I'm a fraud. I'm never said anything funny, and they're all gonna know. They're all gonna know. Everyone's gonna be brought together by how much of a loser. I bet I'm like, what about taking that on? Like, I'm also like, that sounds pretty. Like, something's gonna happen.
That's funny.
And then you go, right? There's a community of people, and they're all fucking weirdos. That's the great thing. Is like, music is like. So many cool people in music. I feel like I'm so much more comfortable in comedy because it's a bunch of fucking weirdos and losers. I'm like, this is where I belong. Like, nobody's like sitting there like, yeah, I'm a comedian. Like, it's like a bunch of fucking weirdos and losers that are just desperately trying to make something happen. It's way more the real me than music ever was, which I still do every day. But like. There's just coolness. Music's like, I'm so fucking cool. Like, comedians are ugly and they're fucking losing. Like, it's better. It's more real.
Although,
it's better.
I think an argument can be made that 90% of musicians aren't nearly as cool as they think they are, and they pretty much should be hanging out with the comedians, and they're a bunch of fucking idiots and hilarious in their own regards. But like, they just think they're really cool. So, but that's pretty amazing. I love it. As far as like the similarities of music though, because you've played so much music live and stuff, do you feel like when you watch like musicians tell jokes in between, like there's a great Jeff Tweedy thing where he's like, everyone laughs at musicians when they tell jokes in between songs because the bar is so fucking low, like
definitely.
No one expects like a musician to like crack a joke.
I think that was my main goal to get in, is I could never talk to the crowd in music. I could never, and I feel like I could, like the bar is very low. Because
it's weird because then and I've heard like multiple times like so many musicians all want to be comedians and all
he's
comedians
funny
want
enough
to be musicians.
to realize that.
And I think maybe just the awareness of that is kind of the humor.
Shows that he's
a funny dude.
Got humor chops.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Awesome, guys. Well, maybe we should wrap up on that note. Do you have any funny ways to
should we all close with a joke?
With a joke from our...
I can tell my favorite joke / bedtime story from when I was a kid. But it's potentially offensive and not very funny.
Sounds even better.
Okay, so when I was a kid, my mom only knows one joke. I'm similar. I can only remember like one or two jokes ever. And she happened to tell me this joke, and for whatever reason, it just sort of caught me. And I would ask her to tell it all the time. She got sick of telling it. So she said, nope, I'm not telling the strawberry joke anymore. And so then, because I was smart and I was 4, I was like, I would like the strawberry joke for my bedtime story. And so then she felt obligated to tell it. And it goes a little something like this. 3 little pygmy kids are hanging out on the curb after school waiting to get picked up. And they're bragging about whose dad is the shortest because it's a pretty big thing in pygmy culture. And I'm pretty sure she didn't state it as pygmy culture, but whatever. And the first little pygmy kid says, my dad is only 4'1", and the other 2 kids are like, that's pretty cool. That's nice. That's cool. But the second little pygmy kid, he's like, my dad, 3'8". And like, whoa, that's sweet. But then the third little pygmy kid clams up. He doesn't say anything. And they look over at him. He wipes a little tear from his eye. He sniffs. He's like, what's wrong, third little pygmy kid? And he says, my dad's in the hospital. And it says, why is your dad in the hospital? He's like, he fell off the stepladder picking strawberries. I loved that joke when I was a kid. And that's one of the 2 jokes I can remember. Nice. So there you go.
I've never heard that one. That's awesome.
Oh, it's classic. It's classic pygmy humor subgenre. Yeah.
You can't pick on the pygmies.
No, you probably can't. They're probably not supposed to be called pygmies anymore. Maybe Hottentots.
Is that
probably also offensive?
Yeah.
Back in 1990 when Dennis Miller it was fine to say pygmies.
Fucking pygmies.
The damn bullet bouncing around in the back of his head.
Maybe I should try to tell my one joke is the Dennis Miller style. Let's see if
do
I
it.
can do an impersonation.
Just fire at us.
And apologies to you guys because it is my one joke. You've probably heard it a billion times. So I wrote, let's see. This fucking guy walks into a bar, right? And he's just trying to have a nice after-work drink, having the worst day of his life. Right, he's sitting over there like, some reference, include a reference.
Like Ozymandias.
Yeah. I'll leave out the Dennis Miller part. But so a guy goes into a bar and he's having a drink. He's real sad, and there's a sad piano player playing. And there's a monkey sitting on his piano, and
does this joke end with "I didn't wish for a 12-inch pianist"?
It should, but it won't.
Oh, okay.
So there's a monkey sitting on the piano. Guy orders a martini at the bar, and he's real sad, and he's like, fucking worst week ever. And the monkey races over, jumps up on the bar, hunches over his martini, and swirls his little monkey balls around in the martini, jumps back and runs back to the piano, and dude's like, what the fuck, this week's getting worse and worse. And he gets mad, he's like, that's it. And he drinks the drink anyway, because he's an alcoholic, and then he walks over, and he's like, hey, to the piano player, he's like, do you know your monkey just swished his balls in my drink? And he goes, no, but if you hum a few bars of it, maybe I can play it. Anyway, so what you got, Ryan?
Oh, man. We're telling old bad jokes.
Old bad jokes. Old man jokes.
I mean, I think they're both really good.
I'll tell another really good joke. A guy walks into a bar and he's like, give me a drink. And the bartender's like, no, you're too drunk. I can't give you a drink. And he's like, well, let me play darts. And he's like, all right, then go ahead and throw a dart in there. And the guy throws a dart and he hits a direct bullseye, just right in the middle. And he goes, what do I win? The bartender's like, you don't win anything. He's like, come on, like, I gotta win something. I got a direct bullseye. And the bartender looks down and there's like a turtle in a shoebox down there, and he was gonna give it to his nephew. He just had it. It's not that much of a guys most bartenders do. He's like, I was gonna give this turtle in a shoebox to my nephew, but just take it, get out of here. And the drunk guy leaves with the turtle in the shoebox. A week later, same bartender sitting in the bar, and the drunk guy comes back in. He's like, get me a drink. He's shit-faced again. He's like, nah, I can't do that. He's like, let me throw one of those darts over there. Like, all right, there's no chance he'll like hit a bullseye again. The drunk like gets the dart, he throws it, and he hits a direct bullseye again. And he goes, "What do I win?" The bartender's like, "No, not this time. You don't win anything. Just get the fuck out of here." And he's like, "Well, last time I won a roast beef on a hard shell."
He ate the fucking turtle? That's fucked up.
Those were all excellent jokes.
Yes.
And well told.
He ate the turtle?
You know, it was old men style jokes. I just tried to match suit.
Oh my god. Well, I hope he had something under the table for him. But on that note, guys, thanks so much for listening. I hope you go out and appreciate a little comedy in your hometown. we may or may not go out and check some comedy out and tack it on to the end of this. So maybe we'll get a little bonus tag on for this episode. And we'll just say thanks so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. Find us on Instagram, The Pretend Podcast. We're out there. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks so much, Ryan, for being our comedic guest.
It's my pleasure.
And thanks, Craig.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
Over. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll see you guys on the next episode.